To introduce the winner of the Metropolitan Chrysostomos Award, please welcome Congressman John Sarbanes.
Good evening, everyone. Your Eminence, fellow members of the Greek-American community, board members and executive leadership of the Washington Orchidea Foundation, and guests, it is an honor to be with you this evening. Let me salute the Foundation first for its work over many years to honor the courage and leadership of amazing individuals whose life and work have embodied the spirit of Orchidea. Congratulations to all who are being recognized this evening. Among the awards given, this one, the Metropolitan Chrysostomos Award, is reserved for an individual who has taken courageous action to combat anti-Semitism or other forms of discrimination. Ordered by Nazi military commanders in 1943 to assemble a list of all Jews living on the island of Zakynthos, Metropolitan Chrysostomos joined the mayor of the island in shepherding members of the Jewish community to safety in the mountains, into hiding, and then turning over a single piece of paper in response, containing their two names alone, a rebuke delivered simply, directly, and with moral clarity. When it comes to standing up to anti-Semitism and all forms of discrimination, being an advocate for human and civil rights globally, there is no one more deserving of the Chrysostomos Award than tonight's honoree, Maryland's own Ben Cardin. He currently serves as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, but will be retiring this year after a lifetime of public service. You would be hard-pressed to find any current or former lawmaker who has done more to promote human dignity within the United States and around the world. Senator Cardin has centered much of that work as a decades-long member of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe's Parliamentary Assembly. Since 2015, he has served as the Assembly's special representative on anti-Semitism, racism, and intolerance. From the earliest days of his leadership in Congress, Senator Cardin has sponsored numerous resolutions and legislation to address discrimination and prejudice of every kind. He has also offered his colleagues an ongoing tutorial on how anti-Semitism always portends a broader attack on human and civil rights, and fundamentally is incompatible with democracy. In his words, when societies permit anti-Semitism, they also foster conspiracies, disinformation, and hate. This broad, penetrating perspective is a hallmark of Senator Cardin's approach to combating discrimination of all kinds and using every tool available in that fight. He is the lead congressional champion of the Magnitsky Act, named for the activist Sergei Magnitsky, which applies sanction authority to all foreign individuals or entities engaging in human rights violations or corruption. The Magnitsky Act reflects the best of what America stands for, and we thank Senator Cardin for that. And I am proud to say that on matters of religious freedom and human rights, Senator Cardin has always stood with the Greek community, calling out Turkey on its treatment of the ecumenical patriarchate and pressing for a just solution to the crisis in Cyprus. And we know today that the president of Cyprus was at the White House with President Biden. Every step of the way, Senator Cardin's advocacy on these issues has been anchored in the belief that America must stand for something in this world, that our values matter. I could go on and on about Senator Cardin's contributions to our country and our world, but let me finish on a personal note. Ben Cardin was a dear friend to my father. They worked together on so many issues: healthcare, human rights, the environment. They actually started their careers in the Maryland General Assembly at the same time in 1966. Elected office is not easy, so I acknowledge with a sense of awe that it took two Sarbaneses running a relay to go the distance of 58 years that Ben Cardin did all by himself. My father and Ben Cardin, these two giants of Maryland politics, carried a mutual respect for one another, and no one was more delighted than my father when Senator Cardin was elected to succeed him in the United States Senate. Workhorses, not show horses. Deep thinkers who served as an intellectual resource to their colleagues. Statesmen of the first order and public servants dedicated to serving their constituents on matters large and small. Men of integrity and character who embody philotimo in all its dimensions. If my father were here tonight, he would say, Axios. I echo that with my own deep gratitude to Senator Cardin. I had the honor of following him in the House of Representatives. I heard directly from the residents of Maryland's 3rd District the difference he made in their lives. I've told Senator Cardin that when people would say to me, "You have big shoes to fill," speaking of my father, in my mind I was thinking that it was Ben Cardin's shoes that would be difficult to fill. Getting up every day with the opportunity to give that my best effort has been a true privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 2024 Metropolitan Chrysostomos Award recipient, Senator Ben Cardin.
Well, I'm overwhelmed, to tell you the truth. First, I want to say something about John Sarbanes, if I might. John Sarbanes is one of the most decent, one of the most honorable, one of the most effective, one of the most principled members of the House of Representatives. And I can speak from personal experience about his constituent service since he represents me in the United States Congress. But he has been a role model for so many of us as to how our political system should operate. And he's been the leader to point out those areas where we can improve the way our democracy functions. So I just want to thank John for his public service, thank him for his friendship. He went a little overboard in the introduction, but that's okay. I appreciate it anyway. And thank you for your incredible service, and we also wish you only the best going forward. Now, John mentioned Paul Sarbanes. And to this day, I am proud to have the Paul Sarbanes seat in the United States Senate. Because Paul was not only a dear friend and colleague, and when you mentioned the year that we were first elected, I saw a lot of people rolling their eyes saying we weren't even born on that date. So it's been a long run for me, and I appreciate that, but Paul Sarbanes has always been a friend. And when I got elected to Congress, he was my teacher on foreign policy issues, serving on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, where Paul Sarbanes was one of the senior members. But he knew of my interest on advancing human rights. And we had incredible conversations about what Turkey was doing in Cyprus in destroying the cultural areas of the Greek Cypriots. And he got me engaged on that issue so that when I chaired the U.S. Helsinki Commission, we put a spotlight on it. And Paul Sarbanes deserves the credit for bringing that issue to the attention of the Congress. And there's so many other issues affecting not only Cyprus and Greece, in which Paul Sarbanes was my inspiration for advancing human rights around the world. So I just want you all to know and I'll talk a little bit about this, the Greek tradition, the Greek commitment to democracy, the Greek commitment to human rights was embedded in both Paul and John Sarbanes, and they made a huge difference because of that commitment to democracy and human rights. So thank you. Now, I was very fortunate. I'm sitting next to the Archbishop, and I'm sitting next to the distinguished ambassador of Greece to the United States. It doesn't get any better than that, so thank you for the placement there. But the Greek ambassador asked me an interesting question. She said, have I made an inventory on the awards that I've received as a United States Senator? And I haven't done that. And I have received awards. But this one is really special. And I want you to know how much this really means to me, because I know what it stands for. I know what's behind this award. And that makes it really special. And I thank you for that. And to the Manitos family, Andy, who has been involved in public service since Lyndon Johnson's days in the and then with the United States Senate, and Michael is following in his footsteps, they do so much pro bono work, always for the right causes to advance human rights. It's always hard to say no. In fact, I don't even bother saying no to the Manitoses, because I know I'm going to be on the right side on those issues. So to have an evening to celebrate with the Manitoses is also very, very special to me. I also, this is a special evening, obviously, because of what this award really means. It's named after the leadership of a small Greek island that stood up to the axis of power during World War II and put their lives on the line protecting Jews. The importance of this cannot be overstated, what they did. And then, as we know, Greece said axis to the Axis power when they asked to surrender during World War II. And in both cases of the leadership of this island, or what Greece said, they put the value of their nation, the value of their beliefs ahead of a temporary transactional deal. And that becomes one of the fundamental principles that Greece has given to this world. That your decision-making should be based upon values, not what you can get out of it for yourself. That's the strength of the United States of America, as we learned from Greece. We believe in value-based foreign policy, not in transactional policies. We look at what's happening in Russia today with Mr. Putin, where he uses corruption and force to get his way. We don't support that. And we're going to stand strong with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure they have everything they need to defend their freedom. Value-based foreign policy. This award is given to me because of the commitment to fight anti-Semitism and all forms of intolerance. Value-based foreign policy. We stand up against hate. There's no room for hate, because that's against our values. And today, in a troubled world, we see the rise of hate against people that are perceived to be different than the majority of the population of the country. And it's a dangerous situation. Our leaders have done something about it. I want to congratulate the Biden administration for adopting the first national strategy to combat anti-Semitism. It involves education, it involves protection and law enforcement, and it involves leadership, it involves coalition building. But when we lead, as Greece led during World War II, other countries will follow. And when I was in Buenos Aires to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Yamia Jewish synagogue bombing, the United States advanced a national strategy to combat anti-Semitism. 30 nations joined us in that crusade. That's what leadership can do. It can bring us together. So this award is really very special. It's special for so many reasons. You have human rights defenders that are in this room. They're my heroes. Vladimir Kara-Murza is one of my heroes. Eugenia, I don't know how you put up with everything he does, but we thank you for doing that. Vladimir Kara-Murza has been poisoned twice by Russia, he's been imprisoned, and he's still fighting for the freedom of the Russian people to be able to express themselves. That's courage. And he has never lost sight of those that are currently imprisoned, two of whom will be honored this evening. That's courage. That's putting your life on the line for the values that you believe in. And to Anna, I want you to know I had a chance to talk to your incredible mom shortly after that election. Make no mistake about it, the opposition won that election. It wasn't even close. They won that election. And in that conversation, I told her America will stand with the election results being won by the opposition, that we will give no legitimacy to the Maduro regime because they did not win that election. So, this is a special evening. It's a special evening where we can celebrate the values we all hold so dear. And I could not be more honored by being the recipient this year. I look at people like Elie Wiesel and John Lewis, and you're putting me in the same company as those two? That's difficult for me to accept. But I like it, I want you to know it. So, as I look at the challenges we have ahead, and I see the challenges around the world, I will always remember the courage of the individuals with whom this award is based on. The human rights defenders that are in the room tonight, and recognize that I've been honored in very, very extreme good company. Thank you very much for this great honor.